Shortly after the formation of the Galactic Empire, the newly formed Imperial Army and Stormtrooper Corps was envisioned as being made up of entirely human recruits, following the decision to end further cloning productions on Kamino. Although the bravery and sacrifices of the clones were instrumental in the creation of the Empire, their very existence was often looked down upon by high-ranking Imperial officers, and the very human recruits that would come to replace them. So what was the reasoning behind this? The start of this prejudice against clones actually started during the later half of the Clone Wars. While at first the general public held overwhelming support toward the clone army, viewing them as guardians against the separatist droid army advances, this positive opinion soon started to sour as the war dragged on, with basic services such as clean water and electricity no longer being provided at the consistency as they were prior to the conflict. Much of the blame over the increased scarcity of these basic commodities was placed on the Republic's budget being primarily allocated toward the war effort, and specifically the production costs of the clones themselves. This realization became widespread knowledge to the public, likely following Senator Padme's speech during her Senate fight against the purchase of 5 million additional troopers. Although her efforts to stop the bill failed, her speech brought awareness to the common people of the true burden the clones had on the Republic's budget, along with the deep debt it was accumulating as a result of taking expensive loans with unreasonably high interest rates to fund them. This rising public disdain towards clones was best reflected by the anti-war protests, which specifically targeted the clones, either with holoprojectors that crossed them out or graffiti that portrayed their helmets soaked in blood, symbolizing that the money being spent on them over essential services resulted in more people dying than were being saved by their presence. Once the war ended and the Galactic Empire was formed, the New Order's policies and propagandas of pushing human supremacy over all other life forms had drastic negative effects on clones as well. Even though clones were human, they were not considered pure or natural by many Imperials, due to them being artificially bred in laboratories. Also, the programming clones had for their increased obedience had some Imperials view them as no better than droids, while others simply viewed the aging clones as relics of the past that were no longer needed. As a result, clones were treated more similarly to near-humans, essentially as second-class citizens. Additionally, clones training the early human recruits may have also contributed to the contempt some stormtroopers had against them, as it wasn't uncommon for the battle-hardened and strict clone instructors to disparage their cadets over their lack of discipline or their belief that they were being unjustly replaced by inferior soldiers. There were also some cases of clone instructors physically abusing some of their recruits as well. With all that being said, not all Imperials disliked clones. For example, Imperial Security Bureau Commander Alicia Beck was close with one of the last remaining clones that still served the Empire as a trooper, who went by the name Torrent. Although he was quite old and well past his prime due to his accelerated aging, his professionalism and efficiency compared to the other stormtroopers earned him respect from Beck, who not only praised him for his efforts, but listened to the experienced soldier whenever they were on the battlefield together.